Hey guys, my name is Laura and I want to talk to you about cyberfeminism. But not just any cyberfeminism, specifically cyberfeminism in the classroom and cyberfeminism for our teachers. So, I'm sure we can all think back to maybe high school, maybe junior high, maybe elementary school, or even college, and we can all think of a teacher that we've had who's really impacted our lives, who's shown us that we have worth and we have value, maybe more so than we didn't see in ourselves. And I just want you to take a second and think about that teacher. I can think of mine right now, who really did make that impact on your life. Got it? Okay. What if I told you that our teachers are at risk? What if I told you that teachers are leaving the profession at alarmingly high rates? The Learning Institute says that the rate for teachers leaving the profession of teaching is about 8%, and that's pretty high for any field. Teaching force is a leaky bucket. They're losing hundreds of thousands of teachers a year, most of them leaving before they even reach retirement age. There are many reasons why this is happening, and in this video right here, I want to kind of bring an awareness to why this is happening, not only why, but the ways that we, you and me, who may not be teachers, can help them, the ways that cyberfeminism can help them to make an impact, make a positive change, and draw more people into this profession or keep them in profession. So during the semester at ASU, I took a course on cyberfeminism and online feminism. And in that, we learned that people are challenging the roles that are traditionally on the internet. They're using these online spaces, these online interactions between people who may be countries apart to basically break from the mold, break tradition, shut down norms, kind of bridge the gap between what can happen and what is happening. I was particularly struck by this one piece. It's by Jessalyn Keller. And in this piece, she states, "There are complex and diverse ways that girls are using online spaces to participate in a feminist political activism that reflects their needs as contemporary young feminists within a neoliberal cultural context." Essentially, because of the internet and because of its reach, people have ways of fighting back in traditionally oppressed roles or traditionally oppressed places, such as girls who may not be seen as assets on the internet but have basically proven their worth through things like blogging and social media use. Essentially, the internet gives people a way to seek change for the better in a space that maybe they don't feel valued in. Jessalyn Keller also writes in this piece, "Society should take seriously young women's styles of technology-enabled social and political engagement, as they represent new directions in activism, the construction of new participatory communities, and the development of new kinds of public selves." Throughout this class, we've been exposed to these communities where people may have a voice that they've not had, whether it be the Black Girls Code movement, or the Sad Girls movement, or the trans vlogging community where people are able to have a voice and are encouraged to share their stories in these spaces where they felt maybe before they didn't have an outlet to share them in. But yet there are still people out there who don't have the representation that they deserve, and they haven't benefited from the internet as this tool of social change. But movements have to start somewhere, right? So when I first wanted to create a video about cyberfeminism, I thought that I would just create a simple overview walking you through some of the important themes and nuances of cyberfeminism. I changed my mind after I talked to my roommate. Her degree is in a field that I feel like people maybe don't take seriously. It's a degree in elementary education. And I feel like there's this stereotype surrounding it, that she's not a doctor, she's not going to be an engineer, she's just going to be a first grade teacher. She's gonna do what she loves. But I feel like there's a stigma surrounding doing what you love if it involves teaching a classroom full of 6-year-olds. Arizona's my home state, as you can tell. I really love Arizona and I'm really passionate about it. But our education system is the worst in the nation. There are numerous statistics citing this and backing this up. We're 50th out of 50 in education, we're 50th out of 50 in teacher pay, and it's only really getting worse despite Arizona's government's push to increase funding for education, to give teachers raises. So yeah, before I met Rachel, I really hadn't had insight into this apart from my own experiences in the education system, apart from the teachers that I had growing up. Shout out to Miss Kubrick, you were great. Shout out to Mr. Donald, you're honestly my favorite. Shout out to Miss Powell, I'm still bitter that you gave me a C in pre-calc because I definitely deserved a B and your final exam was not fair. Anyway, Rachel gave me the idea to kind of practice what I preach and what I've learned in the cyberfeminism class. And maybe, just maybe, this video can be a way to bring about, if not change, just exposure for the teachers in Arizona and the plight that they're going through. So, without further ado, here's my interview with Rachel. We talk about the plight of teachers, we talk about how teachers are really helping to mold young minds into these Keller-like thinkers who can break now traditional norms. We also talk about why teachers sometimes don't practice what they preach and why they don't have support to practice what they preach. So you have an exciting life change coming up. Will you tell me about it?
Yeah, so in a couple months I'll be starting to teach first grade here in Tempe, so I'm really excited about that, and I'll be in a first grade school, or a first grade classroom at a Title I school.
It's an exciting life change for you, but also right now in Arizona there's a measure being passed. Will you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, there's a bill that's in the process of being passed, or it is passed. I'm not exactly sure on all the details, but basically our governor proposed anyone with a specialized degree can become a teacher, and there won't be the same kinds of certification tests, and you won't necessarily need a teaching certificate.
A specialized degree, what does that mean?
So that could mean like maybe you were a science major, and so you're really specialized in science or history, and so that gives you expertise in that area. So you could be a teacher using that.
How do you feel like this echoes kind of how our society views teaching?
I think it really sends a message about teaching, that teaching is kind of a degree that isn't, or a profession that's necessarily valued. Especially for me, I spent the past 4 years working towards my degree, and this year in particular I've been working very hard student teaching, and now hearing that anyone can be a teacher is just kind of frustrating, because what have I been working for these past 4 years if anyone can do what I'm doing? I know a lot of other teachers feel the same way, and even the same goes for master's degrees. Why would I even bother to do this when anyone can do it? And it just doesn't make your profession or your degree feel valued. I think a lot of people think, oh, I've been to school, because everyone has been to school, and so everyone thinks they're an expert in teaching, and so it's really easy to judge and to think you know everything about teaching, but it's really so much more than what you see at the face value. But everyone thinks they know everything because everyone's been in a classroom and you've been a student.
What would you say online spaces are like for teachers?
I think currently online spaces are kind of a place for sharing ideas and like lessons and fun activities, which is really great, and something that I think every teacher can benefit from, and you can see what easily now I can get on Instagram or Facebook and see what another teacher in another classroom in a different part of the world or even the country is doing. That's really great, and I love being able to like collaborate with teachers and see.
There's like an interconnectedness.
Yeah, you can be connected with teachers I think a lot more easily now than you could have been in the past like 5 or 10 years, and I think that's really amazing, and that's such a valuable tool, but it's mostly for sharing ideas and lessons and like fun things that are being done in the classroom.
What would your ideal online space be? Like, how could you implement a space for teachers?
I think my ideal online space would be a place where teachers are supported and valued, because I think that's something that the profession is really lacking right now, and I think a place where teachers support each other, but also anyone supports a teacher. On social media, sometimes teachers can kind of attack each other and judge each other, and that's not the best place to do that, and that's not what we should be using our online space for, because it's such a great resource, but we need to be using it correctly.
You don't feel that they're currently constructive towards building up other teachers?
I think sometimes they are, but I know like things that I've seen that can be, I think there are certain teachers and certain people, but I mean, as is any online space, there's always can be negative things that are posted, and so I think that happens like regardless of what you're going to post, but I wish that wouldn't be the case.
Right, and kind of transitioning from like an online space to an in-person real space. So in feminism, there's kind of this idea that you can disrupt a traditional space. And one of these traditional spaces is obviously the classroom. How are you teaching your students the idea that you can be disruptive in these traditional spaces, which may not have been a place for activism or a place to learn how to question things?
Yeah. The big kind of movement right now in education is growth mindset versus a fixed mindset.
Okay.
And so it's kind of the idea that exactly what it sounds like, a growth mindset, like you ask for help, you say you can do new things, you ask questions, and you never say like I can't, like you always try and do your best, and kind of the idea is like I can't do this yet, but like at some point I might be able to, but I can't do it yet. And fixed mindset is more of like saying that you can't, like I can't do this, I won't do this, like I'm not going to ask for help. And so kind of that idea is that like we want our kids to challenge themselves and to know that they can do anything, and like if you need help, ask for help, and like you can do anything. Like you might not be able to do it right now, but like eventually you can. You just have to believe in yourself and know that you can do it.
How does that translate though then for teachers? Do you feel like a lot of people have a fixed mindset that I chose this profession that maybe is represented poorly by my local government or my state government, and there's the society's view of me because I chose my profession, and maybe it's a lesser view than someone who could have chosen to become a doctor or a lawyer or something that's traditionally esteemed. Do you think that there's a fixed mindset in that, and maybe what contributes?
Yeah, I think there is definitely a lot of teachers have a fixed mindset, and a lot of teachers leave the profession. They get that impression and get that feeling like I'm not appreciated. My politicians are not making these good decisions that I agree with, and I just don't feel appreciated or valued in my career. And so a lot of teachers do leave the profession because of that. And so I think that's hard. Like I completely understand. Like, why would you want to be in a profession that you're not valued? At the same time, like, you're there for the kids, but why? It's like you wouldn't in a lot of other like job and workplaces, like, you're not being questioned as much as a teacher, but like you have to know that you can keep growing and that you can speak up for yourself, and you need to be able to say, like, it is difficult, but to be able to say, like, these are my students, like, I know I'm doing what's best for them, and to also but be there to hear feedback from others.
So do you see in your classroom, do you see these kind of things that work with a growth mindset or fixed mindsets? I know that one of the things you're really passionate about is the fact that children are kind of like a reflection of you, especially at first grade, which is the grade you're teaching. Do you feel like you have a growth mindset and that reflects positively, or do you feel like vice versa, like a fixed mindset could kind of contribute and you can see that in your kids?
Yeah, I think you can definitely, like, sometimes you just say things unconsciously, like, a lot of times. I mean, the kids will be good about it too. If you make a mistake, like when you're doing a math problem or something, you're like, oh no, sorry, I made a mistake. And they're like, that's okay. Like, a person with a growth mindset makes a mistake. And kids, they're very aware of what you say and what you do all the time. So you just have to be incredibly aware of that and know what you're saying. And sometimes you're going to say things accidentally, but like, if you've worked that community in your classroom, like, your kids will catch it and they'll kind of call you out on it and be like, hey, like, you've taught us that's not how we think and that you can do it. And so that's happened a couple times in my classroom, which is kind of like a really great thing to see.
Do you feel like your kids face other struggles that are maybe not, I'm trying to think the best way to phrase this, but like in a classroom that's a traditional space, do you think that there are other things or other forms of oppression that maybe aren't realized and ignored by the traditional teaching model or traditional teachers?
Yeah, there's I think especially for kids who are in Title I schools or who are in low poverty, especially in literature, particularly children's literature, is very whitewashed. And if you, go to the library, go to the bookstore, and like go look through the children's books collection, like, a lot of the characters in those books are white. And I think especially for kids, the kids who need to see themselves in those types of books the most are kids who are of different races or of different cultures. And typically that's not what they see. And so particularly, like, a lot of schools buy a literature like curriculum, a reading curriculum for their school and for their classrooms, and like a lot of times in those books, like, you're not gonna see like non-traditional characters, I guess you would say. And a lot of times, like, those kids aren't seeing themselves in those books, and so like before they're even out of grade school, they're realizing, like, they're probably putting things together like, oh, I can and can't do this based on the way I look. And so I think that's really hard for kids, and you really need to be able to have a really diverse library of books for them, because it's really important for them to see themselves in a book, and to say, hey, I can relate to this character.
In the books where you feel like minorities or people from other cultures are represented, do you feel like the equality is there?
Yeah, so in a lot of the books that I found, people from, which, like, it's funny to say minorities because they really aren't a minority anymore, but people in, like, what we would call diverse characters in books, a lot of times they're about overcoming these in very, like, intense obstacles about their race or about their culture, which rightfully so, I'm sure they do have to overcome those things, but at the same time, why can't they just be a normal kid? Like, why are all the characters in the books that are white going through all these, like, easy things, and they're normal kids who are having a fun life, but all the characters all the books with diverse characters are usually going through some kind of hard obstacle? Why can't they just be a normal kid going through something fun?
Okay. So my next question is, like, what is the thing that me and not you, people who aren't teachers can do to kind of bring awareness to these types of issues in the classroom? Because there are a lot. We haven't even touched on, like, the low salaries for teachers and other problems that do exist, like Common Core and like standardized testing and things.
Yeah.
What is the best way for someone who feels passionate about it to take action? Or is
think,
there a way?
Yeah, just like being, like educating yourself, talking to teachers, because I think a lot of people don't realize how much education affects you. Like, yeah, sure, you're out of school, you're done with elementary school, you're done with high school, but those kids in those classrooms, someday you might be hiring them.
And I'm back. So that was my interview with my roommate, Rachel Salick, soon to be Ms. Salick, first grade teacher extraordinaire. So if you were moved by that, or maybe it encouraged you to take action or to speak up, here's how you can do it. Here's what you should do. You call your elected officials. Oh my goodness. I'm not talking US president. I'm not talking your congressman. I'm not talking your senator. I'm not talking big picture. I'm talking your local ones. I'm talking call your state senators, call your state representatives, call your city council members, go to PTA meetings. I believe that we can push back, and I believe that we can create change.